Do you think will that pick me up? Oh, no, it really will. All right. So the answer is no.
Oh,
no, sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead.
And bye.
And done.
So the show, good last night?
The show was great last night. Middle East downstairs. Like I said to you earlier, it was like a little nerve-wracking going back home because you always want it to be great.
Right.
And, you always have some old friends or some, fans that have been following you from day one, and you don't want to disappoint. So we had our fingers crossed, and it ended up being great. It was really packed, and everyone was everyone was having a great time. So mission accomplished.
Now, do you still have family that live around here?
No, I have a few friends, but no more family. I do have some extended family, like up in like northern Mass, but I don't really get to see them very often. But just a few stragglers in Boston that I call up when I'm there.
Hey, it is what it is, right?
I mean, it's been a long time. I moved to LA in like 1997 or 6.
You miss it here?
I do a little, yeah. Look, I mean, I don't know if I do miss it. When I come back, I get nostalgic. When I'm in Boston, so many great memories of starting the band there, and just it's a great town. You know what I mean? And I just don't know. I'm pretty securely West Coast at this point. I don't know if I could ever come back because of the weather. Honestly, like I just can't take it. So, but I do miss it for sure.
All right. Now, I read about you. And when you started the band, you had no musical...
Well, I still don't have any musical...
Stop.
No, I mean... Well, what I mean by that, I never was like a musician. And I never really had a desire to be a musician. I just had a desire to like communicate and create stuff, right? So, and growing up, the two forms of music that I think really inspired me the most was punk rock, which you didn't really have to know how to sing. You didn't. You could, but you communicated an idea, and it was an attitude. And then I also loved rap music, and that was another form of music where you didn't really have to sing. So early on, I kind of just developed this weird, rhythmic, screamy, chanty, rappy style. That over the years, I guess it's slowly morphed a little more singy, but like that was not really a priority for me. You know what I mean? Like I never really wanted to be, a great singer or a great guitar player. I just wanted to
entertain.
Yeah, and communicate. Yeah, and just like I don't know, I love the idea of being in a band. I always loved bands like The Clash and stuff, and I always just look at them. I was like, they just seem so fucking cool,
Right.
And so it was just a desire to try to create something to be a part of. You know what I mean? And the proficiency aspect of it was never like I didn't really care, or I left it to somebody else. Just surround myself with great players,
right?
And I can just do my thing.
Now, through the years, though, did you do any vocal coaching? Did you go and do anything per se like that?
Absolutely not.
So,
no.
Okay, all right.
No, I mean, I just kind of made up my own. My favorite singers were always people that were just very recognizable. They weren't the greatest singers, but the second you heard their voice, you knew who it was. And I feel like that's always been true. You see a lot of these singing competition shows on TV, like American Idol or whatever, and all these people have like great voices, but is there anything really that distinctive about them? No. But if you hear Johnny Rotten, or you hear Bob Dylan, or you hear Mick Jagger, like they're not the greatest singers in the world, but you know instantly who they are, and to me that was always more important, just like having an identity.
Okay, all right. Now,
and you can't teach that, you know what I mean? That's the thing, you can't.
You can't.
Yeah.
And your stage presence too, you can't teach.
Yeah, I mean that's another thing, is just trying to create this atmosphere and this energy on stage that is sort of contagious, and that's always been important too. We've never been a band that kind of just, looks at the floor and doesn't say anything to the crowd, and we've always been a band that's very like, upfront with our physical part of the show.
Now 25 years, right? 25 plus? 27?
It's hard to say. I don't know. I always say 92 was the start of the band, because I think that was when we went in the studio. We didn't. It's so funny because I sort of put together these group of guys, and the first opportunity we got some free studio time, so we went in the studio and we just kind of made some shit up. But they became Powerman songs, so it was like that. I look at that as sort of the beginning of the band.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know what the math is on that.
So like 26 6 years
Yeah,
or
it's
so.
crazy.
Did you ever think?
No, of course not.
Right?
You never think it's going to last a week, you know what I mean?
And did you ever think it would be this contagious to others? Like fans would actually
No,
appreciate
look, we've been through so many levels of success, from the struggling local band to crazy success with the platinum records and being on MTV, to back to being like, shit, we're back on an indie label. And it's a very roller coastery thing for most bands. You know, very few bands go to the top and just stay there. You know, you've got your Metallicas and your U2s and your whatever, but most of us, it's a ride. Like, it's up, it's down, it's in the middle. And so, but I mean, to answer your question, no, I never in a million years thought, you know, when I started doing this, I just thought I was making some weird little thing that a few people might dig, and then never in a million years did I think, you know, I'd have a platinum record hanging on my wall, and, you know, people would, after, you know, a song like When Worlds Collide is turning 20 next year, and people still sing along to it, and, you know, so I'll take it, you know. It's better than, you know, working at Walmart, so I'll keep doing it. Well, maybe not, actually. Maybe Walmart would be fun. I can't say.
Part-time gig
when I'm off the road, just be a Walmart greeter.
Now, from the beginning when you wrote songs to now, has your songwriting like changed? Has it, like, your process of writing a song?
I mean, I don't know if the process is any different. I mean, I like to think that I get better at it. I think I've gotten a little more focused, in a sense, like some of the early stuff. Especially the lyrics, and, you know, it's like, I don't even know what I was talking about. You know, I read them, I'm like, who, what? You know, it's like, what does this even mean? So over the years, I've tried to, like, hone in my, you know, like I said, that sort of idea of communicating an idea, maybe simplifying a little bit, and just learning what you do best, and learning what you can't do, and get rid of that, and just, you know. But I mean, I think the process is the same in terms of the only thing I do is I just try to do what I like, you know what I mean? We never set out thinking about how we can please somebody else, or what's going to be popular, or what can we get on the radio. We just make what we feel like making, and then hope somebody likes it, you know? I feel like that's the only thing you really can do.
I think that's the reason anyone should start a band, is to do what they
I think so too, but I don't think that that's the case with a lot of people. I think a lot of people become very calculated, and they hire songwriters, and they hire this producer, and they try to, you know, just to sort of, you know, find a certain audience. But I feel like if you do what you do, and you do it honestly, the audience should find you, you know.
All right. Now, I know you've been through band members.
Yeah,
all over the
probably
place.
like 473.
Yeah. So, does dynamics change, like, on a live setting every time somebody new pops in? Like, how do you guys deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. It's become, you know, it's one of those things that, you know, I've always say, like, when you start a band, you always sort of start it with the intention it will be the same guys, right? Same 4 or 5 guys forever together. But it's hard to do, you know, especially for this long. And so, you know, at first I struggled with replacing members, but now I kind of almost look at it as always an opportunity. Someone new comes in with a new energy, a new attitude, a new vibe, and it you know, it's I think it's almost been the secret of keeping this thing going for so long. I don't know if the original members would have, if we would have, you know, drummers, like, I don't know how old the original drummer is, you know, so it's like, you know, so yeah, but it does, like, it takes a minute for everybody to gel, just, you know, but I think in the long run it's been a positive in a way, you know.
And do you write with your members, or is it more you bringing a structure to them and then they put in their finishing?
It's kind of a little bit of everything. Okay. Sometimes somebody will say, hey, I have this riff, I have this idea, cool, oh, and I'll write to that. Sometimes I'll have a real basic thing, you know, kind of very basic guitar part that I put down, and then they take it and add something. Okay. So yes, there's really no real one way we write songs. It's everybody. But it
is a band.
Everybody kind of contributes their vibe to it, and, you know, and at the end, I mean, it usually starts with either lyrical content or, you know, something, and then it kind of just goes from there.
Okay. Now, did I hear this right? Are you putting out something new?
Well, we just put out a record in 2017, so it's still pretty new. It came out in October, so it's almost a year old. But I did start writing new stuff, yes. So
nothing's recorded yet?
I did record one new song, yeah. Okay. So, but nothing. I don't know when it'll come out, but But it's crazy because the new record is almost a year old, and now
it's still going strong.
Got to start thinking about the next one. So we're thinking about it for sure.
Okay, but nothing's set in stone.
No, I have no idea when the next one will be out.
Okay. Now, are you going to tour for this record to the end of the year?
Well, I mean, we do this tour, which wraps up pretty soon, and then we have another quick run in September, and then we'll probably just do some little things here and there over the year, but it's kind of wrapping up for the year because you start hitting the holidays and
right.
I've done enough winter tours where I just want to kill myself, and so it's like
just stay on the West Coast.
Yeah, so we'll do a few things, but I don't know. The next tour might be the last tour of the year, other than one-off shows and stuff.
Okay. I'm gonna do something fun with you. Just to. I don't know if anyone's ever done this, but since you've been a band for so long, I'm going to run through all your albums.
Okay.
And I want you to give me like a phrase or a thought when you think of that album.
A little thought, okay.
Okay.
I'll try my best.
So, we're going to go back to 94.
Yes.
True Force.
True Force. Okay, well this is good because last night I hung out with this guy, Alvin Long, who ran Curve of the Earth Records that put out True Force. Oh. So I instantly think of Alvin, and I also think my main thing I think of with True Force is that we recorded the entire thing, recorded, mixed, done, out the door in 2 days for $600. So that is.
All right. Now I found, and I don't even know if this is an EP from you, but in '95, Blood Splat.
Oh, we did this. So that was our first full-length album. It's called the Blood Splat Rating System, and so that was our second independent record, which that got us signed to DreamWorks. And so your next record you're going to mention is Mega Kung Fu Radio, which was essentially Blood Splat Rating System remixed, and I think we added a song or two and put out on DreamWorks. So
All right. Any other for Kung Fu?
Well, Mega Kung Fu. I mean, that was our first major label record, so that was the beginning of really changing everything for us. That was the beginning of getting us on national tours.
You're like, oh shit, this is great.
Yeah, it started to become like, wow, okay, like there's a little money behind this. We can go on tour. We opened for like Kiss at the Ozfest and all kinds of things. So it really became like a bigger thing at that point. But it didn't blow up yet. It was just sort of like bubbling under at that point,
All right, Stars Revolt.
Right, Tonight the Stars Revolt was of course like the one that changed. Yeah, like suddenly then things really changed. But the funny thing about that record is we recorded it and we handed it into the label, and they all looked at us and was like, this is crap. like we don't have, there's nothing on this record. There's no single, there's nothing. We were like, what? Like we thought we just made like a really cool record. Yeah, so we were like, oh my God, really? And so, but then they submitted the song When Worlds Collide to this radio convention, like a convention, different radio stations in LA, and all the program directors voted on the favorite song of the convention, and it was When Worlds Collide, and then suddenly the label, we went from being losers to like, wow, you guys are geniuses, and then it kind of really kick-started everything. And
so did they all get fired, the people that...
Oh no, I'm sure they got raises. But that record changed everything, and it got, that's when, and you got to think of the time too. It's the late 90s. MTV was still hugely relevant. Right. They played rock music. I mean, we were getting played, our video was getting played alongside Christina Aguilera and whatever,
I remember sitting in front of TV.
So you became, we would forget because we were just these losers from Boston that no one, and then we would go on tour, but our mindset still were this like nobody, right? So we'd go to the mall and just on a day off and walk around, and suddenly there was like 50 kids just following us around the mall, and we started to realize like, wow, okay, I guess it's a little different now. And we were like,
this is bizarre.
Yeah.
All right. 2001, Doomsday.
Yeah, that's the record that didn't come out, oddly, and that was sort of like the beginning of chaos, right? So Tonight the Stars Revolt became this big success, and it was like sort of like all the things you worked for were now coming true. And then we go to make the follow-up, Anyone for Doomsday. We make the record, and the drummer and bass player quit out of like nowhere. Like I don't know why. I still don't know why. I think they just kind of freaked out or something. So, and then what ended up happening, we ended up pulling that record because the label freaked out again. They're like, we don't hear any singles. The same story. Yeah, it's like, well, you did this the first. So we ended up pulling that record, and then 9/11 happened, and people think we pulled the record because of 9/11, but we didn't. We pulled it, but it probably would have been dead on arrival anyway, because the tone in the country at that time was, we don't play anything aggressive, we don't play anything, so that just set us to like a weird 3-year hiatus almost to kind of rebuild and figure out what we were doing, which led to Transform 2003. So suddenly we get it back together, I get some new members, we make this record, and thinking fuck, all this time has gone by, is anyone going to care? So we put the record out, and it does great. The first week it's top 20 on Billboard, and we were like, holy shit, this still works, this is going to be great. And the label was, DreamWorks again, was oddly yeah, whatever, we don't really care. And we were so confused as to why. We're like, this is doing the songs on the radio, and what we didn't know is that DreamWorks, the parent company, which is the movie studio, the movie, in the TV company, was dumping the label. So everyone at the label knew there was not going to be a label, so that's why no one gave a shit, because everyone was getting fired anyway. So that was it was just one thing after another. So that was the record that ended the DreamWorks run.
Okay.
So.
Now, did anything come off of that album that you guys put on other
records? We ended up, it's become sort of a little bit of a cult. We ended up releasing it in a limited fashion. You can get it now on, I think, Spotify and iTunes and stuff. And there's a song called Bombshell that was on that record that a lot of people know, and it was used by WWE for some, so those songs did eventually get out there, but not on a major scale.
Okay. Destroy 2006.
Yeah, Destroy What You Enjoy was our first foray into independent land again, and it was kind of one of the best records we ever made that everyone hates, because it was one of those things. I was so kind of burnt out on what Powerman had become that I was like, I gotta strip this down, start over. So we essentially made a punk rock record. There's no electronics on it, it sounds really down and dirty. Yeah, the production value is really intentionally low, and I was this, I just loved it at the time. It was just because I just needed to do it, right? But it came out and everyone was like, what the fuck is this shit? This isn't Powerman, we're the fucking robots. So it was, but it was just a necessary cleansing of, so, but I still think it's one of our best records. So.
Alright, Somewhere on the Other Side of Nowhere.
Yeah, that was a record that kind of saved the band in a sense, because after the whole DreamWorks thing, and then after going on an independent label and putting that record out that was just so ill.
You're making me tired.
There's a lot. Look, you're talking about 25 years. So anyway, I'm at the point, honestly, it was around 2008, 2009. I'm like, I don't even know if I want to do this anymore. Maybe it's done. And so I end up going to Comic-Con in San Diego. I don't know if you know, Comic-Con is this massive nerd convention, right? And I went there and I was like, fuck, look at all these people. I'm like, everyone here should love my band. These are my people. And so I got really inspired, went home and wrote the single for that record, and ended up being the single, this song called Supervillain. And it just started to sort of take off, and radio stations were playing, and I'm like, holy shit, this
Here we go again.
So we kind of I found the sort of love of that whole sci-fi vibe again for the band, and then that record that's one of my favorite records we've made as well.
And then you did a cover.
Yeah, the Cover Tunes record was totally not supposed to be a record, but it ended up being a record. We got approached by a company to do a bunch of cover tunes, and I thought they were just going to be licensed out for whatever TV, and all of a sudden they put it out as a record, and I was like, oh, okay, well.
My favorite is still Whip It.
Yeah, that's a good. It's actually pretty cool. We did a lot of cool songs, and
you did different songs too.
We did a lot of '80s. Yeah. A lot of Devo and
In Excess.
The Clash, In Excess, The Fix, a lot of '80s new wave stuff. So.
All right.
I know you said give you like one word answers, but I'm giving you like 10.
No, that's all right. Builders of the future.
Yeah, here's another one. So now things are kind of picking up again. So now we step back into, at least 1 foot back into the major label, back on Universal now, right? So like, oh, this is going to be great. And you have the big meetings at the labels, and we're going to do all these great things, and they don't. But that's another record that is another, like, I think we went from somewhere on the other side of nowhere to Builders, and we built off that sound and took it even further, and that had another song, like a song called How to Be a Human, that ended up getting on the radio and stuff. So that one was another like step in building everything back. So that was another one of my favorites as well.
And now we're here, New Wave.
Now finally New Wave, which is oddly kind of a little more stripped down and rough than the past two.
I have to say it's my favorite.
Oh, thanks. Thank you. Yeah, it's sort of very Powerman like, but I wanted to, for this record, make it, because you make a record and you're very comfortable in your studio and you're singing with your headphones on, and then you go on the road and you end up doing these songs for a year, and by the end of the tour they sound completely different because they just become so much rougher and uglier. And I was like, let's try to make the record sound like that, right? Make it sound like we've been playing these songs for a year. And so that was the goal with that one. So here we are,
All right, and last question.
Yeah.
If you could pick one artist, dead or alive, to cover one of your songs.
Oh my God.
What artist would it be and what song?
That's interesting. That's a good one, because usually it's the other way around, right? You'd ask me who I'd want to cover. Well, let's see. I want to hear, okay, because I could pick like something that would make sense, but I want to do something that makes no sense. See, I'd like to hear Amy Winehouse do a version of any Powerman song and see what it sounds like. Yeah. Or maybe Sam Smith. That would be pretty funny too.
Sam Smith would be cool.
I just think it would be really great to hear somebody with an incredible voice, right? That's so unlike anything I do, to interpret something we do and see what they would come up with.
I would be afraid of what Amy would do. No, 'cause she was on another level.
Yeah, no, she's amazing.
Totally.
Awesome.
All right, anything else?
No, I think I talked way too much, so.
No, you didn't.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. We
Yeah.
finally met.
Yeah, nice to meet you. Is this,